Hello everyone, watch this review here where they look at the Marvel Select Hulk based on his appearance in the new Avengers movie. Now while I personally haven't seen this movie and probably won't see it in theaters, I was definitely excited to pick this one up, and I mean, let's be honest, when has something as trivial as not having seen a movie or show or whatever stopped me from buying merchandise associated with it? In particular, this is a really decent looking figure, and it's taking all my willpower to avoid smashing open the packaging and just taking the figure out right now, but you know what? Packaging is important. Part of the display. Um, Personally, not as fond of the little sidebar thing here, although it does highlight the Avengers. It's kind of neat and sort of its whole cross-branding with this individual sort of sub-series. Kind of interesting though is this little fist icon, sort of like a little resistance symbol or whatever, and given that the character is prominently associated with opposing the military and stuff, I suppose it's kind of appropriate. On the side we have an illustration, presumably based on its appearance in the film. By the way, I'll probably not try to avoid discussing accuracy between the figure and the character in the film because I haven't actually seen the film, but I will point out that the pants look to be like a light brown here, but they're sort of purplish on the character. Not sure which is correct. Probably won't be talking about it. I mean, I know supposedly some figures were made before the actual trailers and stuff came out, or so some people messed up the pants color, but I'm not sure if this is the case or. But yeah, back of the box, very neat. And for some reason, it looks a lot nicer than some of the other Marvel Select back boxes. Got just a little panel of the character here, a whole read-up, and then some other selections, including a Chitauri foot soldier. Probably won't be buying any of the other ones from the line. In fact, I've seen the Walmart exclusive Hulk before this. Probably have just picked that up. Although at this point I might buy that one as well. Unfortunately, never seem to see those in my area, so it's sort of buying the aftermarket, which affects things. But hold on a second and I'll get him out of the box. Okay, before we really get into this, I just want to mention that Hasbro also did a 6-inch, I guess, Avengers movie Hulk. Actually, they did the entire 6-inch line, but it's Walmart exclusive, so, it's damn near impossible to get your hands on. So this is possibly the cheaper option in addition to sort of being the larger figure. Is one better than the other? That's a little bit harder to say, because I don't have the 6-inch one. Not sure if I ever will, just given the availability and all that, my Walmart never gets exclusives in. None of the ones in my area do. Alright, to start things off, this is actually my first large-scale Hulk. I, of course, do own the Hulk, but it's more just a Hulk mold than it is a Hulk. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I was just sort of looking for a definitive Hulk for a while. Never really found it, and then this came out, decided to pick it up. And, it's a kind of decent Hulk. There are some sort of issues with it. A few things I don't quite like, but on the whole, it is a pretty decent figure. First off, when it's at full height, it's close to 10 inches. It's actually a little bit taller than this one. But honestly, this older mold does have a sort of superior sculpt. For instance, if you look at the pant legs, they're just sort of sculpted on, as opposed to this, which has a soft rubbery plastic, which is kind of more detailed, but at the same time, this one has nicer articulation, in addition to also just better articulation. Now, how do I mean that? Well, if you look at the knees here, they're sort of sculpted in when they're full up. It sort of looks like normal knees, as opposed to the other ones, which have this kind of ball joint. It's just kind of messy. In general, the joints in this one kind of not as nice looking. I suppose this one, which are nicer looking, but functionality is kind of iffy on both. guess by which I mostly mean that despite the extra joints on him, he's still not an incredibly posable figure. Mostly because the muscle sculpt sort of impedes the upper body, and then on the lower body, again, the sculpt seriously impedes it. He can barely get a forward leg motion here. It's like a 45-degree angle. And then even going back like this, not a whole lot, then the foot barely goes forward, so definitely kind of impedes a lot. It's kind of annoying. The actual sculpt is decent-ish. Also, his head articulation really sucks. Barely goes up and down. The paint's a pretty decent mix. It's got some, lighter and darker areas for the green. I believe they probably just used the same purple plastic throughout, then applied the green over it, which accounts for both the shading and then, just by using a lighter texture in places, you can get a sort of different looking green. The sort of issue is, wherever there are scrapes, you can see purple underneath, which kind of sucks. You also have this weird thing where there's this little green streak there, which I'm not sure what's up about that. Also, my copy has dandruff. Kind of see it there. Yeah, it's kind of funky. Now, given that this is a larger figure, Marvel Select kind of works on a 7-inch scale, meaning they're oversized guys or more oversized. He might not necessarily look all that great next to your normal Avengers lineup. I haven't seen the movie yet, again, but supposedly, the height isn't supposed to be quite this large. I just said supposedly, and supposed to, yeah. It's completely redundant, but whatever. As you can see, just a pretty noticeable height difference. If you like larger Hulks, probably won't bother you a bit, but if it is kind of off and you are a sort of continuity buff or whatever, it might annoy you. I don't really have an opinion either way right now. But really that only applies to him versus other normal-sized characters. In general, I think I'd probably prefer a somewhat smaller Hulk. I mean, granted, he's still gotta be bigger than your normal characters, but I like to have villains kind of tower over heroes to make them look more menacing and stuff when I'm displaying them on the shelves. I mean, having Hulk sort of be shorter than the Hulk, kind of not my thing, but, everybody's somewhat different like that. Now, in general, again, I was mentioning that he has pretty decent articulation, and he does, so I'm going to run through that really quick. He's the first Marvel Select figure picked up that actually has foot pivot, which is something you'd never expect to see in this line, but I guess they're sort of dancing. I mean, previously the whole argument for not having the additional articulation was just a focus on art, and to some extent I do sort of see them losing a kind of focus as they go towards this more articulate thing, but, that's a rant for another time. I should point out that he has painted toenails. A lot of other people have. This is kind of relevant. You'll also notice that he's got some skin texturing going on here. You don't really so much have that with the Hulk. I wonder if it's a movie thing. I don't know, it's just like there's a kind of uneven finish to his skin. It's kind of weird. You have a single joint here at the knee. It goes back a bit, but not a whole lot. Also, as previously mentioned, not a lot of forward motion here at the ankle, although you get a lot of backward motion. Also kind of wish that they would have done like a cut here, because you don't get the side motion with these ankle rockers. But you have a cut here at the thigh. Same sort of like T-ish joint that they have on the DC Universe Classics, where the leg kicks out and then you can also go forward and back, but heavily impeded. Torso joint, really impeded, doesn't go full 360. Or if it does, it might scrape the paint or something. Not a lot of up-down. Head, very minor up-down. I think it's not a physical ball, but not a lot of articulation or movement on it. So, can rotate, but again, no real up-down. Ball socket here at the shoulder. Sort of usual range. Cut bicep, again, full 360. Pin joint. Okay range, then a cut here at the wrist. So, all around, a decent amount of articulation for a Marvel Select. Not as much by the standards of other lines, but they do have a bit more quality supposedly versus the Hasbro version. Just kind of judging from the images, it would sort of appear that the Marvel Select version has greater sort of paint detail, although sculpt and stuff more up for interpretation. I don't know. Like I said, I think he's an okay figure, but he's just not a terribly exciting figure. Now, I didn't mention this in quite so much detail, but you probably heard it. He has ratchet joints at both the hip for the hinge portion and then also this portion. So, there's some definite joint strength there, and in fact, the character can even stand on one leg if you position the thing right, which is always cool, especially for larger figure with ankle rockers. I know other ones with more stable leg joints can do it easily, but hey, whatever. But yeah, this has been a look at the Avengers Hulk from the Marvel Select line. Pretty decent figure. Wouldn't say spectacular, but until next time, folks. Also, written review in link if you want to check it out, or description.